to join because it's not 6 p.m. yet. So let's just wait a couple seconds to make sure that everyone is here. And I can see more people joining, so that's a good sign. And we have more people. That's awesome. Okay, it's 6 p.m., so I guess we can start with our meetup now. Hello once again. Welcome to the 7th and the last edition of the Codest Meetup this year. My name is Monica, and as you may assume, I'll be the host of our little event today. But the real star of the show is Wojciech, our head of product design and JavaScript expert here at the Codest.
Hi, guys. Good to see you. And yeah, I hope you will find my presentation valuable. And yeah, so I guess we can start and just go through it.
Okay, Wojciech today will talk about rapid backend development in TypeScript, and he will also answer the most mind-boggling question, if it's actually possible yet. We will naturally finish the whole event with a Q&A session, so please wait with your questions till the end, and Wojciech will answer them. And also, just a quick reminder for all the new faces out there, at the Codest, we mainly specialize in Ruby and JavaScript, and that is the reason why our meetups usually revolve around those two technologies. And that is it from me for now, and now Wojciech will start the magic.
Okay, so first of all, guys, the topic of my presentation might sound a bit clickbait for you, and I'm conscious and I know that it's a very wide subject, so please keep in mind that it's all full of my opinions based on my state of knowledge and my experience. But anyway, I hope you will find it valuable, as I said. So feel free to share your thoughts, your opinions, and yeah, let's go. First, I would like to show a short agenda of this presentation. At first, I would like to say some few words about backend development and what, in my opinion, is the darkest side of this area. Then, when I will say something about the problem, I will try to address it and maybe reconsider a little bit the way we work on API, and then try to propose some options how to make it even faster. And yeah, after that, I will get a closer look onto solution I would like to propose and maybe encourage you to go deeper with that. And yeah, after all, we will show some code examples just to prove that I'm right, of course. And after that, after a few conclusions, we will jump to Q&A session. And yeah, so let's go. So what is the dark side of backend development? For sure, it's this and this and maybe this funny picture, especially for my Ruby teammates. And yeah, in general, funny pictures are not the dark side of backend development, but the purpose behind them definitely is. So in general, backend development is commonly taken as something very complex, something very responsible, risky, and I guess maybe stressful. So yeah, I want to make you feel a little bit more comfortable with backend topics, even if you are front-end devs, since TypeScript is the language which connects front-end and backend pretty smoothly. So what, in my opinion, is the worst in backend development, or maybe most crucial? Definitely, for me, it's a storage layer. And usually when we talk about storage layer in our applications, there are two ways. First is a content delivery network, which is responsible for serving some static assets or files, and let's say some heavy files. And this part is responsible also for quick delivery to the client around the world. So it's all stored in cloud. And the second part of storage layer usually is your database. And the difference is that you have various solutions for CDN. You have SaaS projects, some plug-and-play tools, while managing database is usually on your side. And when you want to do it well, then you have to go follow few assumptions. And let's just remind them quickly. So first of all, storage layer of your backend application must be secure. So that's why we have to care about certificates, about SSL connections, and so on, about authentication, authorizations, about managing roles and permissions, and so on and so on. This is probably the most crucial part of providing good quality products, but still we have a few more assumptions connected with storage layer, like it should be fast and accessible. Obviously, nobody wants to wait for resources and data too long. We want our system to be fast and the UX to be as good as possible. So yeah, that's why our storage layer must work fast. And if there is a complex logic, business logic in our application, sometimes we have to work, usually we have to work on more complex relations between our resources, which means we have to make our database browsable. We have to care about indexes on columns, about some foreign keys, relations, and so on, and link our resources in a smart way. What's more, when our product grows, perhaps in future we will have to make it even bigger and, for example, support new locations or move part of our application to another data center, then connect it with some load balancer, let's say. So it's all about scaling project in future. And yeah, our implementation definitely should be ready for that. And despite all, we have to keep in mind that in 2, 3, or 5 years perspective, our projects should be still maintainable, which means the libraries, the solutions we pick should be modern, should be quite sexy for developers, because this is what makes us sure that in 3 or 5 years, we will be able to find accurate people to work on our projects. And yeah, I guess you can add some other points to this list, especially those of you who worked on the backend side for some time. And I guess this list might get much longer. So feel free to share your thoughts on the chat window. But in general, the statement is that because of these assumptions and because of storage layer, backend development is not so easy. And yeah, what's not so easy regarding database is managing it in our backend app. When we work with databases, usually regarding our code base, it means migrations, which are about our schema, about shape of our data. It's about seeds, which are responsible for providing some dummy data for test purposes, let's say. It's about query building, so we want to ask our database for our data in a smart and efficient way. And yeah, it's object relational mapping, which is kind of translation between objects modeled on the database side and objects used in our app logic. So just to make it simple, let's say object relational mapping is the part where we translate SQL stuff to TypeScript stuff and vice versa. And yeah, of course, maybe you had some good experiences with this, but actually sometimes it really hurts. And now I'm gonna explain a little bit why it's happening. So I don't like migrations at all, because they are not too friendly, let's say, for developers. And even if I have migrations in my projects, I know their value is not for me. It's more about working system, about my database. But me as a developer, I I don't have an opportunity to browse my database, to scan database shape by reading migrations, because migrations don't describe database shape as it is. They describe changes done on the database, which means by browsing migrations, I can know the story behind my database, but I'm not able to scan the shape of my data immediately. And yeah, we have some solutions for making it more understandable, like, I know, for example, visual diagrams, but still it's something that takes time. And if we have some way to merge our migrations or make them more condensed, perhaps we would be able to go deeper into our database faster. And if we talk about rapid development, I would be glad to see some option for this. What's more, a second statement, okay. Let's be honest, usually there's no way back, which means when we go fast and we want to deliver proof of concept, our MVP, as soon as possible, perhaps we don't look back. And usually regarding migrations, it means we write correctly migrations going up, but we can forget about making migrations working in the down direction, which means if something wrong happens in our CI pipeline, or at worst case scenario on production environment, suddenly we wake up hanging up somewhere between last working version of our database and the one we wanted to push to deploy. So yeah, this is one of the most stressful situations, I guess, at least for me. And that's why I don't like migrations at all, and why I have opportunity to say something today about it. So third statement, in general, migrations are helpful and redundant at the same time. And I know it might sound like a philosophical thesis, and yeah, but why they are helpful? For sure, because of what they do. Without migrations, we wouldn't be able to manage our database, our schema easily, let's say easily. But at the same time, we have to do some repetitive job. Even if we describe our schema, our fields on the migrations level, then again, we have to describe those fields in our TypeScript abstraction layer. So of course, there are some solutions for that. It might be done a little faster, and it might be automated. But still, first we have to write migration, describe some fields, some data, and then again describe almost the same in our code base. So for me, it's maybe unnecessary work. It's repetitive stuff. And in rapid development manner, I would like to skip some of this work. And yeah, why migrations are not fun? Perhaps you have some doubts at this point, so I decided to use some scientific proof, which is, of course, encyclopedia definition. So when you visit the link and see schema migration definitions, you can spot something interesting, that there is a quite nice section about risks and benefits of schema migrations. And I'm not sure, maybe it's just a coincidence, but if you check this content, only first sentence is about benefits. The rest is about risks. And yeah, there is another little section about advantages, which might be involved here, but still, as you can see, there is more about risk than about benefits, which means migrations at all can give you a headache. So, knowing this, let's now reconsider rapid development a little bit. First of all, you need to cut drama. You need to cut unnecessary stuff. You need to cut repetitive work. It's good when you are well prepared and already have in your portfolio some ready-to-use configurations, some starter packs, which can give you some advantage on this level. But still, first of all, you have to be focused on features. You have to be focused on core features of your product, and you have to implement business logic, which makes your product outstanding. So in rapid development manner, you don't want to spend too much time on registration, login, and so on and so on. It's better to deliver core features. And yeah, when you need to rush and you need to hurry up and the deadline is coming, it's very difficult to keep your code at the high quality level, on the high quality level. And I know we all love to listen about unit testing, about end-to-end testing, and all those good practices. But the fact is that those practices are usually privileged for well-grown products with big budgets. On POC and MVP stage, it's very rarely met a situation when investor says, okay, I want it all to be 100% test covered. So yeah, in general, you don't have time for tests, and meanwhile, you want your product to be something bulletproof, let's say. And that's why it's good to use boilerplates, since in some boilerplates you can find well-tested solutions which might be suitable for your case, for your needs. And with this in mind, I need to show you additional graphics. And yeah, on this level, there's no time for documentation, for tests, for refactoring cycles, for your perfection as a developer. And it's all about business stuff, and yeah, and that's why you need to hurry up, optimize your workflow, and in my opinion, because of that, it's good to constantly question your toolset and the libraries you rely on. So, in general, working on MVPs and POCs is operating on fast market, and yeah, it's like survival of the fittest. So with all this in mind, let's just simulate some situation when where I will propose example stack and one interesting extra solution, in my opinion, worth following. So first of all, in my case, I didn't want to spend too much time on deployment stuff. I wanted to have it automated and easy to use and just do it once and then push to my repository. That's all. And in my case, this was Heroku, and I feel comfortable with this platform. That's why I choose this. But if you are familiar with even AWS and have some configurations and you are ready to launch AWS instances quickly, no problem, your choice. But the point is that on this level, I don't want to spend too much time on CI and deployment. And then going further, I needed to decide about the language I would like to implement my app. And obviously, as a JavaScript developer, my first choice would be JavaScript. But in my opinion, for a few years, the real standard is TypeScript. So yeah, in my opinion, TypeScript is bug preventing language, which makes your code more readable, more descriptive. And as I said before, on this level, we need to care about the code to be at least readable. So TypeScript should be helpful in this area. So yeah, I have platform, I have language. Now I should choose the framework, let's say, the convention I would like to follow. And for me, most natural choice was Express. And I know that for now, I guess most modern is Koa, or which lies under the Strapi framework, for example. But still, Express is kind of standard in JS world. And TypeScript support is pretty well. So I choose this combination for my project. And as you can see, regarding our topic, there is something missing in this combination. We still don't have the idea on database and data storage. So for sure, I will need some database engine. And in my case, this was Postgres. It can be any database you prefer, but the significant difference is that Postgres is for free on Heroku, and if you want to go with Mongo, then perhaps you have to pay $46 per month for some plugin, Heroku plugin. So yeah, that's why I picked Postgres for my experiments and some hobby purposes. And yeah, as you can see, there is still something missing since we didn't decide about the way we communicate our app with our database. So yeah, here we go again. And now I would like to consider something. Yeah, first of all, in presumed stack, we have at least 3 popular options, and I'm pretty sure you can find you can make this list longer, but for example purposes, I wanted to say a few words about 3 of them. And first is combination of bookshelf and Knex, where Knex lies under the bookshelf, and bookshelf is built on top of Knex. Knex is more about querying, about query building, while bookshelf is more about modeling and translation between the database and your models. But still, these solutions are kind of old-fashioned. They are on the market for so long, and they have well-grown community, but still some approaches are a little bit old school, let's say. Another one solution option is TypeORM. Oh, now I see that transparent logo type was not the best choice, but still. TypeORM is fully featured and battle-tested solution, but as Knex and Bookshelf, same, it's based on some, let's say, old school conventions, and yeah, still you have to do some repetitive stuff, which I don't like, and it's more oriented on query building rather than modeling and transforming into TypeScript. But yeah, even if it is, I think there are solutions that do it better. And the third one, for example, might be Sqlize. I guess that some of you have experience with this. And yeah, the worst thing in Sqlize is Sqlize documentation. So in general, these 3 libraries are okay. They are popular, well supported, let's say. They have grown communities, and perhaps you can go with them. But still, the problem remains. All of them go the same up and down way regarding migrations. So when you use any of them, you have to write your migrations explicitly, which takes and then take the risk related to migrations. So here I would like to introduce a solution which for me is kind of game-changing, and I convinced to this pretty quickly. And yeah, guys, let me introduce Prisma, because in my opinion, Prisma does it better. I'm not saying Prisma does something different, something, you know, from other galactic, but Prisma just does better. Even if under the hood there are some migrations, they are done in more friendly for developer way. So first point, with Prisma, you don't need to write migrations explicitly. By default, you should describe your schema. This is done with specific for Prisma schema files and CLI tool. So every time you invoke some provided by CLI command provided by CLI, there the schema file kicks in. Prisma detects changes on this file, and if some changes occur, asks you for the name of your migration. So you don't need to generate migration file and write functions up and down. Prisma does it automatically. Sometimes you can you might need to adjust it to make it more complex, or I don't know, provide some default values for your new column or whatever. Yeah, then you can still go to your migrations after generating them. I will show you how, because there is one issue in Prisma I already addressed in my presentation. So I will show this in a few slides. Yeah, but next point is that with Prisma CLI, which I already mentioned, your deployments are much easier, since you have available scripts. Prisma is executable as a Node module, so you can invoke npx Prisma and then some command like migrate or migrate dev, migrate deploy, or generate to generate Prismaclient, which I will describe soon. And yeah, with those commands, you are able to build CI/CD flows quickly and seamlessly. So, third point, great TypeScript support. Prisma is a solution built around TypeScript. TypeScript lies in center of Prisma, and its core assumption in this project. So Postgres and TypeScript are in center of Prisma attention. So yeah, I definitely recommend this for TypeScript projects, especially because this is the natural environment for Prisma solutions. Fourth, flexibility. Here I attached some screenshot from Stackshare, I guess. And yeah, you can see some pros of Prisma. And actually all these pros make Prisma very flexible. And you still have control on your database, and you are able to apply even some complex stuff. But if you don't need to do that, you can go very fast through your basic features, basic endpoints. And that's the thing which makes your rapid development even faster. And yeah, probably regarding maintainability and looking forward to the future, probably Prisma has a bright future ahead. Since last year, they raised some funds, and I'm not sure if TypeORM or Knex or Sqlize will raise this amount of money for growth. So I guess in few years, Prisma might be even better done. And yeah, I keep my fingers crossed. So in general, that's all regarding introduction to Prisma. Now I would like to show you some examples, some code examples to show how cool Prisma is. So let's start from the beginning and from the point I started my description, which is schema file. And yeah, with Prisma, as you can see on attached screenshots on the left, when you add Prisma to your project, you will have a top-level directory called Prisma with a default schema Prisma file. And schema Prisma is placed on the right. So schema Prisma is your source of truth about your database, and migrations subdirectory is generated automatically based on schema Prisma. So let's look at the lines, and yeah, on top of schema Prisma file, you can see data source. This part is responsible for connecting your Prisma abstraction with your database. And as you can see here, I have provider PostgreSQL and connection string defined in my environment variable. After that, I'm defining generator client, client generator, to be honest. And yeah, as you can see, provider is Prismaclient.js, which means when you invoke Prisma generate, you expect some JS client to be generated. And this client is to give you ability to build your queries quickly, efficiently, and easily. And after that, we are getting to the core part of the schema file, which are models. And as you can see, here is example model of organization entity. And for example, first field is ID, which obviously is a string. But after that, you see some functions with some add characters prefix. And yeah, ID is something that defines the field as an identifier, which is obviously unique for this collection. Default, of course, is for providing default values. When your field is optional, like for example settings JSON, you can add a question mark, and that's it. By default, it will be null. When you want to add a relation, you have helper function for relation. When you want to add some timestamps, no problem. And even if you want to rename your table or columns, you have a very cool function map. But there is one tricky thing with this, and I will say a little more about it. But for now, let's just focus on relation with between organization and user. As you can see, here we are declaring that organization can have many users. And on this level, it looks very simple. And on user level, on user side, it looks like this. So first, we have to declare relation with organization in general. And yeah, organization will be attached to your user data. And organization ID as a string, which will be stored in your database. So organization is a relational field for Prisma. Organization ID is a database field. And then when you use Prismaclient to fetch some data, Prisma will automatically add organization entity to your user every time you add include organization to your query. And yeah, so this part is about relations one-to-many, for example, of course. Then we go to my favorite part, which are migrations. And here you can see example use case. So before on the user model, I had a last name column. And let's say I wanted to rename it to surname, or in my example, it's some dummy data. But anyway, the case is I want to rename my column, which is named using the map function I mentioned before. And as you can see, when I try to generate migration files, you can see that Prisma gives me some warning about it. And this warning comes from that by default, when you rename your column or table, Prisma is very, very cruel in this and just do it like drop and add. So you can lose your data very easy, and yeah, that's the issue. But that's the reason why I added create only flag to my script. So this flag makes me sure that my migrations won't be applied to my database. They will be just generated, and then I can take a look at them, adjust them, and this way avoid this risky drop at and add pattern. So before, by default, we get something like this. Then I can go to my migration file, adjust it to just rename my column, and then call Prisma migrate again. And after this, my column should be renamed correctly. And as you can see, the output says that generated Prismaclient, which means Prismaclient available in my TypeScript logic will be regenerated every time I make some changes on my database and I update my schema file. So every time I run migrate script, I get new updated Prismaclient available in my TypeScript logic. So what exactly is the Prismaclient? Let's jump to this. As you can see, the usage is very simple. First, you have to import a class, then just initialize some instance and return it as a module, and that's it. By default, you don't need to extend anything because perhaps this Prismaclient contains everything you need in most cases. Then from the same path, from the same Prismaclient, you can import TypeScript interfaces, which are consistent with your schema and which are generated based on schema file. So when I say that user contains field name and field name is type of string, then automatically on my interface level, I will see that my user object should contain a field of type string. And actually, here I wanted to group my entities, my interfaces in some API resource type, and I will show you why. But yeah, just let's say it's for description. API resource might be account, Prisma user, organization, and so on and so on. And with this in mind, we can do something pretty cool. And I would like to show you a little more advanced example, which is generic service to create a service, domain services easily. As you can see here, I'm importing Prismaclient as a type just to declare type of my database field. My class service should contain some database connections, should provide some database connection, and I just want to initialize my database field as a Prismaclient. Then, as you can see, there is some name field which is generated based on domain. And yeah, domains come from kind of conditional type. I can show this later for curious ones, but still, here you can see that service can be defined for specific API resource type, and it implements some service interface. In general, this is the frame of my services. And then, for example, my organization service, which will extend this class, might have some methods like this: find one by ID, create, update one by ID, and so on and so on. And as you can see, with this interface, you are able to understand the role of your service in a few seconds. You just see what methods are available, what you need to provide, and what you can get from this. And as you can see on the third line, there is some dependency, some user service, and the user service is declared the same way. So yeah, let's just see organization service. As you can see here, I'm initializing my service instance in constructor, and then declare or rather implement methods already declared on interface level. And with all this code everywhere in this file, Prisma provides you with pretty good typings. And for example, where in the place where we have a get all method, you can see that there is some where field where we can pass some params. And even if you declare where, Prisma knows which params can make your query unique, which params are not available, which params exist at all. So yeah, whatever you write here, all the time you are guided by Prisma, like here. And yeah, I think all this stuff can make your backend development much faster. As you can see, there's no need to make some repetitive declarations for your data. And on MVP level, on POC level, this is a big win. For me, in my use cases, this was very fruitful to work with Prisma. So I wanted to encourage you to check Prisma by yourself and experiment a little bit, share your opinions. And yeah, right now I stay open for your questions.
Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Please, guys, write your questions in the chat and Wojciech will answer them. So let's just wait a couple seconds and see. Someone is writing, that's perfect.
Yeah, perhaps teammates trolling.
For how long have you been using Prisma, Wojciech?
Okay, for now, let's say 2 projects, and how long? I don't know, few months at all, but pretty intensively. And yeah, right now I'm pretty convinced that with Prisma we can build cool MVPs. But yeah, not so long, honestly, since Prisma in second version was released, I don't know, a year ago maybe. So it's still kind of new player in the game.
Okay, I can see another user writing. Okay, how big projects those were?
Yeah, internal projects mostly for entertainment purposes, but actually if we talk about rapid development, MVPs, POCs, and so on, we shouldn't expect something bigger, right? But I guess Prisma is pretty cool for this right now.
Okay, do we have more questions maybe? Okay, another person is typing. Or the same one? Kamil is asking what's the whole strategy.
Okay, maybe a little irrelevant, but I will try to answer. Okay, Strapi is a backend framework based on JavaScript, Node.js, and yeah, under the hood it uses Koa.js framework, which is provided by authors of Express, I mentioned in my presentation. So yeah, Strapi sounds like a modern and cool solution.
I can see another question on the way. Perhaps it's Kamil again. Oh, okay. Sorry, Camille. Is it hard to replace existing projects framework with this Prisma?
Okay, honestly, it's a very good question. And actually, Prisma CLI provides you with some introspection feature, which is that Prisma can detect the shape of your database and declare schema file basing on the your existing data. So I I didn't do things like this yet, but I guess it should be easy because Prisma already addressed this kind of issues. So with Prisma introspections, you should be able to read existing shape of your database. So then your switch is more about refactoring your queries and so on to use Prismaclient rather than rewriting schema.
Are there maybe more questions? Let's just wait a second and see. Who would you recommend this setup of tools track to use, and for what kind of projects?
Yeah, definitely for simple REST APIs, it would be very, very friendly and easy to use solution. For some advanced solutions, it depends, I guess. So don't want to make judgments.
And there's another question, if you can give more Prisma example.
Yeah, I think I could, but definitely not in this presentation since I didn't provide more code examples in my slides. But your this question, yeah, maybe if in our audience we have some interested people, we can launch some workshops together. What about some Saturday on February? Yeah, Monica actually didn't know about it, so it's spontaneous.
Sounds cool.
Guys, if you are interested in getting deeper into Prisma and have fun with this solution, I like it so much I can organize some workshops for you if you want.
Yeah, we can actually organize something, and maybe we will just send a message to all the participants in this event with the information once we come up with everything, Wojtek. So that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, but still, I need some time to design those workshops. So honestly, let's say you can expect it around February.
Yeah, we will probably put some information on our social media as well about it. There is another question, how it works with GraphQL.
Yeah, actually, GraphQL is also supported. And guys, honestly, I want to encourage you to take a look at Prisma docs because Prisma does it few levels better than the competition, since they provide you with pretty cool examples. You can just go to GitHub, clone the repo, and you are ready to extend some boilerplates. So Prisma is the thing that is oriented to rapid development maniers, I think.
Let's wait for another question. Kamil will also come if we provide him with pizza and beer, so I guess we have to figure it out, Wojtek, how to play it well.
Okay, no worries. we will find out how to solve it.
Any good website reference for your site, from your site?
Website reference, not sure yet. Don't know, but I can do some research and get back.
Okay, so maybe we'll put it as well in the email if it's needed. Do we have more questions, or should we wrap it up? Someone is typing. Okay, let's wait. What would you recommend for junior devs like me to do in order to become such a star like you in JS, Wojciech?
Okay, right now I'm pretty sure that someone is trolling us, but I don't know, just keep practicing. Take new challenges and go further. And if you get stuck, ask someone with bigger experience than yours. Yeah, so mentorship might be helpful.
Okay, I can't see any more questions, so I guess we can wrap it up. And also, if you guys have more questions, you can contact us under the email displayed on this slide, and just feel free to contact us if you have more questions.
Or if you want to participate in workshops, which we are gonna conduct.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about it.
So
that's a good
if
point.
Let's say if there will be at least 6 people interested in workshops, we are able to go with this.
That's a good point. Yeah, so make sure to follow us on social media under the name Codest on Facebook and LinkedIn, where we would actually probably let you know about the upcoming events, the Codest Meetups, and new activities that we are planning for the next year. And that is it for today. We hope you guys enjoyed our meetup, and see you next year. And actually sounds a bit dramatic, but yeah. See you next year and have a nice evening, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Bye.